All right, so what order should you put your pedals on your pedal board? This is something that is debated amongst a lot of guitar players about what order I should do them. But this is the order that I prefer. I think it creates the nicest sound for what I like to achieve. And generally it's what a lot of people do, I guess, recommend. If you do look online, for example, there's a lot of recommendations about what order. And this is what I generally like to do. So my very first pedal is my Vox wah. Okay, so I like to put that at the very start of my chain. I also put it on the very far right, so it's just easier to access with my right foot. All right, from my Vox, I'm going into my compressor. All right, into my compressor pedal. So my compressor pedal, I want to just compress my guitar directly. All right, so if I put my compressor later on in my chain, if I put it after my distortions or after my delays, for example, that's going to also compress that sound. I don't necessarily want to do that. I want to compress my raw sound straight out of my guitar and achieve what I need to achieve with that at the very start. That can be used in different locations, so depending on what you want to do. Some people like to have it at the end of the chain as well, if they want to compress their overall sound. If you want to use it as a boost, for example, as well. All right, so that's what I'd recommend for me anyway. You can use that as well if you like. So I've got my wah into my compressor. From there, I go into my first distortion. So I've got 3 distortions. All right, sparkle drive for just a little bit of a dirty sound, but still has a lot of the clean guitar coming through it as well. Into the tube screamer, and then into the rat pedal. Okay, I've got it in that order in the level of distortion greatness. All right, so that's a little distortion, a lot more distortion, a lot more distortion. All right, in that particular order. Okay, Vox, compressor, then my dirties. Okay, around that area you may want to put a tremolo, if you've got a tremolo as well. If you've got that sort of effect, sort of a sound that alters your sound, it's a good place to put it, would be around that area. All right, from there I will go into what am I going into? I'm going into my micro amp from there. All right, so this is my overall boost of my sound. I also use it to boost my tone, to increase my tone of my guitar sound as well. All right, so from my micro amp, I'm going into my volume pedal. All right, so that's my volume. I don't like to put that at the very front because I find that if I put it at the very front, I'm losing some of my tone. Now this could be different for you. Some people like to have it at the very start, but I'm having it about halfway in my chain there. Okay, out of my volume, well, I've got a tuner out, okay, into my tuner. The less pedals I can have on my board going through the loop, the better. Even though this pedal is a true bypass meaning that if I have it plugged in my chain, for example, but I don't have it activated or I don't have it on, it's going to bypass that sound. So there's actually electronics inside here that will bypass that sound. While other pedals that are not true bypass, if you have them off, it still goes through the electronics and through all the effect chain and everything inside that pedal. So true bypass is generally better for your tone. You won't lose your tone if you have that pedal off. Okay, so from the volume, I'm going into my first delay. All right, and then into my second delay. Okay, so I've got my delays close to the end of my chain. All right, so you want well, for me, I like my delays at the end so that I get delays on my distortion sound. Okay, same principle. If I put my delays before my distortions, then the sound already comes delayed into the distortion pedals, into the drive pedals. Okay, that could depend on the individual guitar player, how they want to do that, if they like that or not. I personally don't like that. I find that it just gives me too much of a mess, too much of a messy sound. So I have my delays after my distortion pedals. Okay, then I've got an output from my first delay into my first amp, and then out of that I also go into my looper. All right, so this actually just records a loop, so it records some sample from my guitar. Pretty obvious to have this at the end because I want the sound that this records to have all of this in it, right? There's no point in putting this at the very front, because if I put it at the very front, it's just going to record a clean sound. I want it to record everything else that's in here, okay? And then I've also got the just the foot switch for one of the delays there. All right, so that's the basic overview that I'd recommend. So it would be to have your wire at the front, then to have your dirty, your drive channels, with your compressor around there as well, compressor before your drives, into the volume, right? So my booster and my volume, again, those can be in any of the two orders, all right? That's not a problem. Into your delays, and then out to the amp from there. So I hope that was helpful. Talk to you soon.